And a very good evening to you once again to Beyond Gardens Live, a program with a difference. Firstly, we are live. Secondly, we are very much concerned with Western Australian conditions. And thirdly, we're not here to try and sell you something. This makes this program unique. Unfortunately, if you've just joined us, this is the last one in the series. More on that a little bit later. Can I introduce the panel on the program tonight? John McWilliams. Hello. And Gary Heddy. Okay. And between the three of us, we'll do our best to talk with you. And this is how you get in touch with us.
Yes, you can.
Did you catch a glass of water
there yet?
Nothing like a live program.
You can call us 6468 5994 and please turn your sound off. Otherwise you get that horrible delay that we had last week.
Like a cheap phone system.
Yes.
Yeah, or you can send us an email on tv@beyondgardens.com.au, but make sure you send a photo so we get a bit of an idea of what's going on. Photos are great.
Photos are great. And what's enabling this conversation is the sponsor of this series, the Water Corporation. We are delighted to have their long-term support in this. And in fact, unlike other product people, they ask that we tell you, please don't buy so much, okay? And very appropriate today, being one of the hottest days we've had, it seems like forever. Oh. How quickly we forget summer.
I know. Yeah. I know, it was horrible.
And instant effect upon the garden. Do you find that?
Yeah. Yes. Instant effect.
All my little everlastings, straight to seed. Yep. All the warm weather plants, particularly the tropicals, suddenly go, yes, it's our time. Yep. Our time has come.
Our sapotes at home are looking quite sensational. Yeah. All the winter weeds are struggling a little bit.
And that's the other thing. I think we've got to query a little bit about weeds. But the weeds, of course, are seeding. And from now, for the next 24 hours or so, they'll go, vroom, grease lightning, and drop their seeds very quickly. Should that worry you? Well, not if you want something to do this time next year. Okay.
Like weed forever.
Like this. Yeah. Now, John, you've been out and about.
We have been out and about, and I was just about to say in 2 months' time I'll be wishing it was this cool, actually. Instead of when it's a 42-degree day, I'll be wishing it was a 36-degree day. But no, we got up to some mischief on Saturday in East Perth. We're down here at the Derbyl-Yerrigan Health Service in East Perth. In about 2 or 3 weeks' time, they're going to have their 40th anniversary. So for that, we're getting rid of the old landscape gardens and replacing it with bush food and bush medicine.
No, it'd be good to get rid of a lot of the introduced stuff, because I think from a health service point of view and an Aboriginal health service, it would be really great to have some plants of value, medicinal value, or value as far as healing for Aboriginal people. And I think all health services should have the opportunity to have original plants that have healing values for us. So Derbyl-Yerrigan is one of the oldest services in the country, and hopefully we're going to set a bit of a precedent around healthy plants. And we know that people, walk amongst country and bushes and whatnot. That's healing in itself. So to have plants with proper medicinal value, I think is going to be great for the gardens, and especially for the old people as well. We've got an old person here, as you know, and I think she'd be really happy that this is happening here. So that's good. Good to have you on board, Beyond Gardens.
there's a law that when this plant, or any plant, goodness me, is flowering and fruiting, you leave it be, because that is how the plant breeds. This is how the next generation comes along. If we followed that rule, it would be impossible to bulldoze bushland. So clearly that's not our law, but it's a nice law. Right, so this is going to, there you go, good luck guys.
So there you go. Yeah, we had a fun day on Saturday. Thanks to all our wonderful volunteers. It was Derby Yerrigan Aboriginal Alcohol and Drugs Service as well, and a lot of other wonderful willing workers that did a lot on the day. I'd also like to thank Steve McCabe, who you would have seen on the panel. He's our resident bush food expert. So yeah, Steve, you did a fantastic job of showing us all those plants.
And a few sponsors?
We've got a lot of sponsors for that project. It's a big project and we couldn't do it without the sponsors. So we'd like to thank the Water Corporation, the City of Perth, and a couple of product manufacturers as well. They put in some bits and pieces. So we'd like to thank Bailey's for that, Total Eden, Netafim, and Banara Nurseries, and of course us at Beyond Gardens. We're still working away there. So that happens on the 20th of November is their grand opening, ceremony for the 40th anniversary of Derby Yerrigan Health Service. It's a wonderful service too.
There you go. And please turn down the sound on your television, or of course you can email us. And we'll keep the email address. Is that there? Yes. No, yeah, all right. Because we've got an email or two already, haven't we?
Yes, we've had quite a few emails towards the end of the week. So here we go. Here's the first one. It's from Kevin in Parmelia. Hi guys, I've just bought a packet of watermelon seeds. The packet says sow spring summer, yet gardening books say plant seedlings spring summer. Would it be too late to start them in punnets now and plant out next month?
I guess the significant thing is the difference between a seedling and a seed is about watermelons 5 days, 6 days.
If that, it's not much.
Yeah, that's about it. Anyway. So yeah, they're both the same. Yeah, and you can start if we're talking about metropolitan area, and we do have to regionalise this. The metropolitan area, you can start sowing watermelons as early as August.
Yeah.
August.
Absolutely.
And as late as, how late have you gone?
I've gone mid-March.
Wow.
But that's me using a really clever spot and using a bit of warmth and
a secret that we'll have to
basically anyone who ever tells you can't do it, I've got to have a go and see if I can change.
Absolutely.
Prove a point.
Well, a lot of the commercial growers are planting earlier and earlier because what's the point in selling to market when you're getting a few cents a kilo for your watermelons when you could be selling
if you're in the northwest. About the other way.
Absolutely.
Harvesting now. Yep. Rockingham Ants is from Phil and Cheryl, who have got ants in their garden, and they reckon they're probably coastal brown ants, and they're doing all sorts of damage. Now, they do continue a fair bit, but I think the point to be made is that none of us can identify ants unless you happen to be an ant expert. And some of the treatments for ants depend very much upon knowing what the ant is. So the question is, how do you find out? And the answer?
Yeah, and the easiest way is to get a bit of sticky tape, stick it on the ant and post it to the Ag Department entomology branch, and they'll have a quick look at it. Please make sure you do it at the beginning of the week, because it goes through into the weekend. They might have a bit of a sticky mess. And basically the difference is a few white spots that your human eye can't see.
Yeah.
And if you get it wrong and get convinced to go to the coastal brown ant killer, and it turns out to be the native ant, they'll just pick it up and move it to the side, and your expensive ant killer just was a waste of time.
And of course, it's the season, isn't it?
Again,
the warm weather we were speaking about, the changes that happen very quickly.
Absolutely.
Suddenly, there are ants everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere.
Yep.
And they're part of life.
Yeah. And in my area, it turned out to be the native ant that can have a nest up to 800 metres. So killing a little patch will make no difference.
Yep.
So what I actually do is get a bit of wetting agent, put it in the water, wet the nest. They need dry soil for their nest, so it wets it. So that night they get up and move somewhere else. So
preferably next door.
So the trick is you can never tell your neighbour because we want them to stay there instead.
All right.
Exactly.
Now, we also have, and we're taking advantage of this.
Getting on
If you've
top
been
of some
waiting for a
emails,
call,
actually.
I mean, get in quick, because right at the moment the lines are free, we believe. But we can catch up on emails. And here's an interesting one. We bought a house with a well-established grapevine, probably 15 years old. What's the best way to fertilise it during the fruiting season? Oh, terribly simple to answer this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no need.
That's it.
Really established grapevine like that.
15-year-old grapevine, it's getting its nutrients and probably its water from about 3 houses down.
Yep.
So let your
No need to
neighbours
worry.
fertilise their lawns and fertilise their gardens, and your grapes are going to reward you.
Very simple indeed.
How many
Yes.
abandoned homesteads have you come across with a grapevine still growing
absolutely
perfectly fine? So
There's a really interesting patch in Wanneroo, just on Wanneroo Road. It's been a vacant vineyard now for, I know of it about 20 years, and there's vines still growing strong in gutless sandy soil in Wanneroo. So they are a very, very tough plant. We have another email here from Tim in Edgewater. G'day, Tim. Can you advise how to propagate mulberry cuttings?
And I assume we're talking about the black mulberry, which is the one that's beginning to fruit right now.
Beginning
and it
to fruit.
looks a lot like this. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I'm saying mine's beginning to fruit because I butchered mine and
Yes.
sulked a little bit.
I've now got almost too much fruit.
But essentially quite easy. In fact, it's one of those that if you can't propagate it, you really should give up gardening. But the trick is to make sure that you've got some 2-year-old wood. They're phenomenal growth, remarkably tough plants, and they really pour on growth. And it's very tempting to take some of the new growth, but you want some 2-year-old wood, which is woody rather than green. It can be about that long, right? Roughly like that. You can leave a few leaves on the top. You've got a choice of either striking it in a pot. You normally don't need any powder, any gel.
Absolutely.
But I do know people who just dig a hole in the garden and bury it about 2/3 in the garden. And it takes...
No, they will. They'll take very easy. It's almost like figs, really. Okay, we have a caller on the line. So, let's get into some calls.
We should.
Good evening, caller.
Welcome to the program.
Hello, it's Camillo from Carina.
Hi, Camillo.
I'm just about to get 3 persimmon trees, Euro, Nightingale and Voodoo.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, I've got quite a few fruit trees and obviously look after them. Any secrets to persimmons or just pretty well business as usual?
I don't have any persimmons at home.
Personally speaking.
Personally speaking,
Yeah,
I've got
has it come to that?
I've got the sapote, which is
But remarkably tough trees. In fact, once established, and I think that's probably the trick to them, once established, they're very tough indeed. But I would just treat them as a conventional fruit tree.
Yep.
But they do suffer from a few pests, not the least of which is birds, by the way, silver eyes. Probably, I mean, this particular tree you're looking at there, if you look very closely, you'd see a few of the fruit are actually been eaten out from the inside.
Yep.
I think the varieties you named are what are called the non-astringent varieties, which are delicious, have to be, like most tropical fruit, fully ripe, right, before you can enjoy them.
And 2 of them are non-astringent.
Yeah, the non-astringent ones are so superior. They really are.
Okay.
But the other thing about them is, they look good. Right? They look good at all times of year, and they do have, most of them, a fairly good autumn tone as well. The fruit's delicious, and the wood is highly desired.
Oh.
That's when you're tired of persimmons and you chop the tree down.
Chop the living down.
Wood turning.
Yeah.
So some probably exclusion netting to keep the birds away.
Certainly. You won't have a crop otherwise.
No, that's right.
Lovely.
All right, Camillo, thanks very much for your call.
Thanks for your call.
Thanks for your support over the year too. Thanks, Camillo.
Right.
One of our regular callers. No, we've actually got another call on the line. People have realised.
Yes. Hello. Welcome to the program.
Hello. Yes,
Hello.
Ken here.
Yes, there's a little pause, but we're with you.
Look, I've got a Whitman and I've got a pawpaw tree, and it's all got crinkly leaves on it. I want to know will it grow a lot of critical leaves or not?
I didn't hear the last bit, but I heard the other bit.
Was that crinkly leaves on a pawpaw?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what I got.
Unfortunately, unfortunately for you, it's a regular problem with the pawpaws, and the only treatment is ground level pruning. If you get my drift, you've got to pull them out.
Pull them out.
That's it.
Start
Gone.
again.
And I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that with a smile on my face. I'm just trying to be pleasant. There's no way you can do anything about it. So you pull that tree out quickly before it spreads to all the others.
Okay.
Sorry
That's
about that.
very sad.
Yep, I'm sure that's not what you wanted to hear, but that's the way it is, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Cool.
you.
I don't like bringing bad news
Well,
at the end.
that's
Yes.
a weekend
Don't
job for
cheap
somebody.
also. Yeah, well,
Nice start to the show.
It's a good reason for growing quite a few of the plants. You also get the hello, interesting things going on here. You also get the male and female mix, but quite often that does happen, especially if you've been pruning them.
Yes.
That's when you ask for trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we've got another caller on the line.
Well, let's hope we can do better than
Yes,
the last.
yes, hopefully we're not going to chop the tree out of the ground. Yeah.
Welcome to Beyond Gardens live program. Hello.
Yeah, hi there, guys.
We're all ears.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, my name's Simon. I live out in Averley.
Yes, Simon.
The temperature out here today was 37.8. I've just got a question for you about chilli plant.
Yes.
Got a lot of varieties in my garden. Didn't prune them over the winter. Most of the literature is European climates, and they say you should prune them back. Is it just an individual thing, but some plants you should prune back, or some plants seem to be doing really well over winter. Other plants look a bit ordinary. So the ordinary ones, should I prune them back or just leave it? I'm pretty new to the chili game.
You've summarised it fairly well because there is a considerable variation between different selections, different cultivars of chilies as to how they will go through our winter months. And if we're talking Perth here, if you're talking further north, then most of them will sail through their first winter, no problems. But in Perth and areas south, you will lose some. Others will look really awful. And others will sort of be so-so.
Moderate, yeah.
So often you get a lot of the outer growth dies back. That's why you prune. But if the outer growth isn't dying back, you really don't need to. And within a week or two of this sort of weather, they'll be back into it again. Yeah. So it's
that's great.
It's up to you, essentially.
Yeah, it's personal choice.
You'll get 2 years out of a chili, most chilies. Some you'll get 3 years out of, and others only 1. They all produce much better in their first year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, dog.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah, appreciate it.
No worries.
And I should restrain myself, but
No, go on.
the world's biggest chili festival is held right here in Perth.
Yep.
And look out for it, Araluen Fremantle Chili Festival, the 3rd weekend of March.
Yep.
Find out all about chilies.
And we'll be there.
I'll hopefully
And we'll be
get
there,
down
will we?
this
Okay,
year.
we'll be there.
So, yeah,
Pam.
absolutely.
I'll be there anyway.
Like my chilies.
We'll be
no,
there.
it's good. It's good.
Okay.
Yes, we've got another call.
Got another call.
Yep.
We were doing so well on the emails just for a while.
I know,
I thought I was
but
going to
that's
get a
all
run
right.
and clear the
We've got
decks.
through half the...
But it's lovely to be popular.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello, welcome to Beyond Gardens Live.
Oh, hi there. My name's Julianne. I'm from Mount Vishon. I have a couple of very healthy 6-year-old gelatin waxes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to know the time and method to propagate them.
Ah. Do you like a challenge, is my question to you. Because they are challenging even for commercial nurserymen.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they seem to grow from seed as a weed, in fact, in some areas quite well. The gelatin waxes, and there are lots and lots of them, are particularly difficult to propagate. They are propagated from tip cuttings.
Yep.
Often taken round about now and sometimes a little bit earlier. They're tiny cuttings that are taken. All I can suggest is you try a few. You must use the rooting hormone or rooting gel, one or the other, and good luck. But success rates with commercial nurseries are often very low. In fact, I gather some of the new varieties now, they've resorted to tissue culture. But we gardeners love a challenge, don't we?
Yes. One person said I should go for some older growth.
No, the nursery that I used to work at, we were a commercial nursery and we used to grow, we were one of the more successful growers of the Geraldton wax and grevilleas, so yeah, we had a lot of luck. If you're using the rooting hormones, you've got to use a fairly mild one too, so usually they're in numbers, so if you can get a number 1 or even a 0.5, we had a lot of success with those rooting powders. We were actually using a powder at the time for the Geraldton wax, but the gels as well. If you can get the gels in those low numbers, you should do okay. But yeah, it is tough.
Straight in the ground?
Pardon?
Straight into the ground?
No, they're best grown into a cutting mix, so some sand and some perlite, and a little bit of peat to help retain some moisture. Be prepared though, if you do get Pythium or one of the fungals, you're going to lose the lot. They are really sensitive. They are really sensitive. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's one of those good luck sort of goes, yeah.
Yes. Makes you wonder how they survive in the wild, isn't it?
Oh, I know.
Well, again, they grow from seed, and tongue-in-cheek, I was saying admittedly, but they are. Geraldton wax is now regarded as a weed in many parts of the southwest because it does seed. It does seed. It does, but what comes up from the seed, you don't know. That's why you take cuttings of selected forms.
Yes.
Okay, you're in charge. What have we got next?
Email.
Email. Excellent.
Let's have a look at an email here. Somebody's got a question regarding potash. So thanks, Marlene, for that question. Hi, guys. Good show. Just started to watch it last week. Oh, it's a shame that tonight's the last show for you, Marlene. You mentioned not to feed your fruit trees with potash. Why not?
How long have we got? It's a little bit complicated, but it's necessary to say that the best all-round fertiliser nutrients for fruit trees is a general purpose fertiliser with trace elements. Whereas potash on its own is an individual element, and when you add that to excess, which people do, I'm afraid, then you start to throw the rest of the nutrients into imbalance, in particular nitrogen and also phosphorus. So thinking you're doing the right thing by chucking on potash can actually be doing the wrong thing. I've got a picture here somewhere. It's interesting of a pear tree with, I'll just show you the top of the foliage if I can. Here we go. There it is. That's the result of phosphorus deficiency on a pear tree, which followed on from somebody applying sulphate of potash. Now, coincidentally with that, and very briefly, I was reading a research paper only this morning, strangely enough, it's a coincidence and a half, about some work going on in America where they're finding that A, the soil tests for potash are meaningless, and B, most plants don't need any potash added at all. Now, I stress that's American soils and it's different, it's more fertile than ours, but it does indicate that we are grossly overusing potash, and we probably don't need to be applying any at all. And again, applying too much is dangerous.
It's probably fair to say that if you're growing any of these sort of plants, putting a single element on any time can induce problems in other elements because we're needing that balance. So you could be chasing your tail and the retailers will do very well out of you because you'll go and buy another element and then you'll go and buy another element because you've induced another problem. All we're trying to do is get you to the point where it's nice and simple. And I think probably one of the perpetual problems with potash was that a long time ago, the blood and bone used to have it added, and it sort of got into this folklore.
They changed the blood and bone, but people are still chucking it on.
And they're still chucking it on, but they don't have, they've already got potash in the blood and bone now.
They're using sulphate of potash and not muriate, which is a chloride salt, which is much cheaper, by the way, but has worse residual effects.
I told you it'd be complicated. And WA soils are different to eastern states, so they watch them. Watch those TV shows.
Okay, so
I'm not going to.
You're caught. So, yes, it's caught in the time warp
it is time for a break. So we thank you for watching the first half. Yes.
Wow.
Thanks for the calls. Thanks for the emails. We'll see you after this.